Hello everyone. In this session, we'll be discussing how Bokeh works with pandas. So in the earlier sessions, I have taken one example, but just to justify it further, let me take another example. So suppose I want to import a file, let's say test.csv, which is already stored in my C drive under the documents folder. And then I would make the necessary Bokeh imports from the bokeh.plotting interface. And I have to first provide the figure parameters. So I'm not giving any specific parameters. I have set figure and open and closing parenthesis. Then my x values is the x column of the data frame and y values are the pow column of the data frame. Then I want to plot a line. So I will plot a p dot line function. I want to plot a line between x and y and I have specified line width here. And then I want to mark circles also x and y. P dot circle is a glyph. So all the um, it would provide circular markers on the line plot. So x, y, and the size 20 I have specified. So size of the circle is. So if you look into the our interface, okay, uh, this is where the what it is. Okay, so if I run it, so first of all, let's see this is the data which I have. This is the x column, this is the pow column. All right, these are my x values, these are my y values. Okay, pow is my y value. Okay, yeah. So these are the indices. So no use of indices here as such. And if I run this command, we can see the plot. So there's a line, okay, and then there are circles also because I have given two parameters here. If you reduce the size of the circle or increase the size of the circle, accordingly the figure will change. And that's a toolbar on the right, which is always there in the bokeh plots. Okay, so bokeh works brilliantly uh, with pandas or the data frames. Data frame is nothing. We have discussed earlier also. It is when the data is available in the form of tables. Now let's move ahead and discuss something which is known as the layouts. Now, this discussion we have done in matplotlib as well. That if I want to plot multiple data sets on the in the same plot area, then I can, instead of plotting them in the same area, I can either plot them in a column layout or in a row layout. So if you want to place it in a column layout, then you have to define one function which is call equal to column. So children is one parameter. I, with the help of example, I will tell you what this children parameter means. And then the sizing mode. So children is nothing. Children is basically the list of plots that you want to plot in the area. And sizing note tells you about the layout size. So you can keep it fixed, which is by default version as well. Or you can use the stretch port methodology, scale width methodology, or scale height, or scale both. Multiple sizing modes are available. See, there is no as a standard which I can tell you, okay, which mode should be used. You can use different modes. You can see under which mode your visualization is, you know, you can visualize your data better, and accordingly that mode can be selected and presented. Okay, so let's take an example. Let's say first let us make the necessary imports. So I have made the necessary imports from the bokeh.plotting. Then there is an additional import here. So from the bokeh.layouts interface, I have import column because we are going into a column. So this is a column. The right hand side, if you see the diagram, this is a column layout. So two diagrams or two graphs are there, but in different plot areas. Okay. So I have three data sets here: X, Y1, and Y2. Okay. So I have used the NumPy. It's just a hypothetical data set. So np.arrange gives you this will give you values between 0 and this figure, math.pi into 2. So pi means 3.14. So pi into 2 star means 2. And this is the np.arrange function, numpy.arrange. So I believe that all of you have some basic understanding of numpys. Then even if you don't, then my idea here is to tell you how the plot works. Okay, so even if you don't, then concentrate on the plot. Then y1 is np.sin x, so this will give me the sine values of x, and y2 is np.cos x, so this will return me the cos values of the x. Okay. Then I want to plot two figures, so I have defined two figure parameters here, fig1 and fig2. So fig1 I have defined plot width and plot height. Similarly for fig2 also I have defined plot width and plot height, because I want two different plot areas now listed one after the other. Then fig1 dot line, this will introduce a line graph between x and y1 dataset. So I have provided some additional parameters like line width or line color. And similarly fig2 dot line, so this will introduce another line but in a different plot area, which would be between x and y2. Again, I have specified certain extra parameters like line width and line color. Then this column layout function, which is very important. Without this, you would not be able to place the data into columns. So column children is basically the list of plots. So I have two plot. I have one plot is fig1 and the second plot is fig2. So I'm introducing the argument that I want fig1 and fig2 to be the part of column layout. And sizing mode, I'm selecting stretch both, so the data would be stretched as much as possible. Okay, so this is how the coding works if you want to introduce the column layout. Fine. Then this is for row layout. The only difference, the entire data is same. Everything is same. All the imports are same. The data selection I have taken same. These parameters are same. The only thing is the last one. If you want to use row layout, then instead of column function, you have to use row function. So when you will use row function, the parameter exactly similar. Children parameter and the sizing mode parameter exactly similar. And once you put out this row layout, the data or the two data sets, or the the three data sets that I have, its relationship would be placed in a row format. So this would be this plot will showcase the relationship between x and y1, and this plot will showcase the relationship between x and y2. And one very important observation that you need to see here is that both the plots will have its own toolbar. Okay, this plot will have its own toolbar, this plot will have its own toolbar. Then the grid plot. So before we discuss grid plot, let's come to the interface and let's take this the column layout. So this is the column layout. All the necessary imports have been done. Okay. Then this is my data set. So x, y1 and y2. So I want to place one line plot between x and y1 and the second line plot between x and y2. Okay. So I have just produced a hypothetical data using the NumPy. So if you understand NumPy, very good. If not, then don't worry. The idea here is to teach you plotting, not the NumPy. But still, I have told you np.arrange means it will give you the values between the 0 means the start point, mat.pi into 2 means the end point. Okay, that is what it refers. Y1 is np.sin x means sine values of x would be returned. Y2 is np.cos x means the cos values of the x would be returned. Simple. This is uh, this is how it works. This 0.05 here, which you can see in the np.arrange function, is basically means the difference between the two values that you want to put up. So you are telling the numpy that whatever value, evenly spaced values you will be putting up, this should be the difference between values. Then this is the first figure details, the second figure details, and the column. Okay. So if I run this, we will see that what we have received is that two different plots. This is between x and y1, this is between x and y2, and placed in a column format. Similarly, if you go with the row layout, so this time you have to import row here. In the earlier case, I have imported column. The data set is same. Okay, x, y1, y2 exactly same. Figure 1, figure 2 parameters exactly same. The only difference is here, where now I have specified the row function instead of the column function. So if I run this, we'll see that the same data set, but this time we have the plots in a row layout, not the column layout. All right. So this is how you can place multiple plots. See, the reason of doing this is, which I have explained you under the matplotlib as well, that when you placed the graphs within the same area or the multiple plots within the same area, sometimes becomes too messy. It becomes very difficult to visualize or compare data. But when you plot them in a column or the row layout, then comparisons can be easily done. Now let's discuss the grid plot. Now, I told you that if you see these plots, every plot has its own toolbar. So this plot has its own toolbar. This plot has its own toolbar. If you use the grid plot function, okay, so grid plot function allows you to give only single toolbar. That means for both the plot, the toolbar will be single. Okay, so grid plot function, it will return a grid and a single unified toolbar would be there, and then the location of the toolbar you can set, you can parameterize that. The parameter can be given. So uh, this is the again the same example, absolutely same example. This time I am importing grid plot. In column I am the column was import column was there. In row the import row was there. Now in grid plot it is import grid plot. Okay, the data is exactly sorry, similar. The fig1 and fig2 parameters is exactly similar. The only change is now here that I have used the grid plot function instead of row or the column function. If I do that and I come to my this is where I have done this. Data set is exactly same, fig1 and fig2 parameters is exactly same, and this is the change that grid plot function has been used this time. And if you run this, let's see. Yeah. So now there is a single toolbar. Uh, in this plot, the toolbar was available for individually for every plot, but here it is only one single toolbar that can be used. So that is the usage of the grid plot function. Okay, so it returns you a two-dimensional grid of rows and columns. So one single toolbar works for the entire all the plots. Then there are certain plot tools which can be used. Okay, so when you are rendering a bokeh plot, the toolbar normally appears on the right. We have seen it a lot number of times. Okay, and if you wish, you can change the location of the toolbar. Okay, like for example, it can be above, below, left, right, or if you don't want a toolbar, it's not important that you want a toolbar. So if you want to remove the toolbar, then there's a removal option also. You can remove the toolbar very easily. So this is the example. We have make the necessary imports. Output file we have mentioned. Then I want to create a toolbar. Okay. Now here, if you see, I have mentioned that I want a toolbar location. Now this is done with the figure parameters. So when you are defining figure parameters, you can show this. So you want toolbar location to be placed below and toolbar sticky false. Now what this parameter is all about is that sometimes when you are mentioning toolbar location below, then it coincides with the x-axis. So there might be a possibility that might be overlapping the axis. So if you want to make sure that that thing should not happen, you have to mention other parameter which is toolbar underscore sticky equal to false. So when you specify this, it will not stick to the axis. Then I want to draw a circle, so I have draw the circle. This is my x data, this is my relevant y data, and the size of the circle 10. If I do that, and this is what I want to do. Okay, this is my data. So this is my necessary figure details. Okay, so I have mentioned here, this is my toolbar location. If you can see, toolbar location, toolbar sticky false, I have mentioned the parameter. And then finally, since I want to go for circle, so the parameters I have defined the x and the y values and the size. And so if we run this, yeah, these are my circles. Okay, this is how it works. Okay, now if you see here, the toolbar location is below. Otherwise, the default location is on the right, or might be on the top if you are following the grid plot function. But here I have mentioned the location, so the location can be mentioned. Even if you don't want to show the toolbar, it's your choice. You can specify the none parameter, and there will be no toolbar. Okay, so these all are the options which are actually available with the you can customize your plot tool. Then there are various other tools available in the models module. So uh, we'll coming to this session in the next session. And till that time, keep practicing and keep plotting.